Good morning, friends. Jai Hind. I'm indeed truly honored and privileged to have one of the very illustrious chiefs of the naval staff, Admiral Sunil Lamba, in conversation with me, who has had a very illustrious career spanning over 4 decades in the Indian Navy. Very illustrious officer who grew up in a boarding school, one of the best schools of the country, Mayo Boys. And today we will know what inspired, what motivated a young boy from Mayo College, Ajmer, to join the National Defence Academy, who went on further on and also went on to London to study at the Royal Defence College. In fact, he's had a illustrious career. He's had a very good command on his ships, and he is a navigation and a direction specialist. You'll understand what does a navigation and a direction specialist means as well from Admiral Sunil Lamba. Sir, thank you very much for taking your time, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's my pleasure
Very kind of
to
you, sir.
participate in your talk or chat show, whatever you will call it.
That's extremely kind of you, sir. So let's start from the very beginning. How was your boarding school days like in Mayo Boys? It's one of the best school of the country, in fact. And what inspired you from Mayo Boys to join the NDA, sir?
No, I hail from a very small village in
Palwal, sir.
present day in Haryana in the district of Palwal called Amarpur. My father was also in the Navy, and we went wherever he was posted to. And I grew out of the schools which were available in the naval station, so my father didn't have a choice other than to put me in a boarding school. And he had served in Ajmer, where Mayo College is located, and he knew the then principal, Mr. Gibson, so he requested him, and Mr. Gibson readily agreed, and I joined Mayo College in 1965 at a young age of 9 in class 4. And I spent 7 years in school, and I think it was a wonderful education, a wonderful upbringing, and being part of the class of 72, I have beautiful classmates from school, and we have a very strong alumni network, and we still meet, and we know each other very well, or most of us have done well in life. From there, it was my ambition to become a doctor. And I joined the Delhi University. That time you had to do 1 year of pre-medical college and then give your entrance exam. And during the course of this, I had applied for NDA. I passed the exam, got selected, and also got allotted the naval service, the Navy in NDA. And I had a decision to make at a young age of 17 whether to pursue being a doctor or join NDA and the Navy. And whoever's advice or opinion I asked for in the family, everybody said join NDA, and so it was. And I have no regrets at all. And if I have given a choice all over again, I'll do the same.
Yes, sir. So you mentioned about you alumni of Mayo College doing very well. Just a fortnight ago, the chief of the army staff, invited few officers, veterans over for dinner, and I happened to meet General Aditya Singh, and we discussed about you. In fact, he mentioned about you. He said, "Oh, of course, Admiral Lana is a very dear friend and such things." Who's on the board of Mayo Boys, in fact, incidentally.
That's correct. I know General Aditya Singh. We call him Ati. And Ati's been on the board of Mayo College for a very long time. And we are good friends. We go back a number of years. He's very senior to me in service and also from school, almost 10, 11 years.
Sir. So the bonding, and I am from a boarding school myself, so I understand. And my father also was in the army, so I can well understand why and how a service brat goes to a boarding school and how they are bringing it. So let's talk about your NDA days, because you came from a boarding school, and in fact, I know the rigor of a boarding school life. It's very similar to academy, almost more or less. So you must be actually sailing through in academy, though the RIMC and sailing schools have an edge over everybody else. But so does a Mayoite.
The routine of MEO and NDA are quite similar. I mean, you had morning physical training and classes and all, with a common dining area, and like we call the mess in NDA and also in the school. So the routine was basically the same, but only thing NDA had a lot more discipline thrown in than what was it in MEO. It's not that there was no discipline in MEO, there was also, but falling foul or something, there was more rigor in NDA. And I am from the Gauls Squadron of NDA. And then the tradition was, if one person of the batch makes a mistake, the whole course got it in the neck. And we were 15 of us in my 51st course, Gauls Squadron. And I think that tradition in the squadron still follows. So it brings all 15 of you together. We carry each other along through our course, and we have remained in touch.
Sir, sir. So let's talk about your academy days. Any particular, though there would be a lot of memories, I'm sure. Any particular memories you would like to highlight about the former chief's academy days, sir?
My divisional officer in in Gauls Squadron India is now Lieutenant General Nirbhay Sharma from the Paras. He retired as a governor in Mizoram. I remember we were preparing for one of our camps, and he was taking us for a cross-country run in full combat gear. And he told us to carry all materials to make tea, which included a stove and kerosene and all that. And we took a shortcut saying that, oh, we'll gather some dry wood and make a fire and brew the tea. And halfway through the run, he stopped us and said, okay, let's have tea. And some of us got up to gather the dry wood, and he looked, oh, you guys have not got the stove. He made us eat the tea leaves, eat the milk powder, and drink the water thereafter. He said, now we'll brew it in your stomach. So there are a lot of incidences like this in the academy. I have very fond memories of my 3 years stay in National Defense Academy, and I've gone back there a number of times. I visited my squadron. I've also been the reviewing officer in the passing out parade when I was the Chief of Naval Staff. So it's a happy memory, and the 51st NDA. You have another group of alumni, which I'm fortunate to have friends going back more than 40 years.
Sir, that's, I was in a similar conversation with General Nirbhay Sharma, in fact, and he was mentioning about his early days, and it was very, very interesting. And it was the moment you mentioned about General Nirbhay Sharma, it formed a connect over there. I didn't know he was your DS in Academy, sir. So let's move a bit forward. Apart from your defense college, your defense DSSC, your staff college you had done, you'd also gone to the London College of Defense Studies, sir. Let's talk about your experience there, sir.
I went to the Royal College of Defense Studies. I did the course in 2006. So it is an interesting sabbatical which one does in its career. We were about 90 odd participants in the course, and more than 50% from our overseas candidates from all over the world. We were 2 of us from India in that particular course. My batchmate in RCDS was Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain. And it was a wonderful experience. It broadened my horizon education-wise, got to know the world better, got to know different countries through the participants in the course, and got to know London and United Kingdom because we spent almost 11 months there. I was fortunate enough to have my wife accompany me. My in-laws looked after my children who were in senior classes in school that time. So overall, it has stood me in good stead. I'm more worldly wise, having spent close to a year in the Royal College of Defence Studies.
Sir, that's so nice, sir. Sir, you are an navigation and a direction expert. People call you. I mean, what is this navigation and direction expert, if we may understand, sir?
I'm from the executive branch of the Navy, and we have four major specializations. One is navigation and direction, the other is gunnery, third is anti-submarine warfare, and the fourth is communication and electronic warfare. The duties, so you make a choice and you go and do the specialization course for close to a year in the early part of your career. So as a navigation and direction specialist, you look after all the operations which the ship has to participate in. You do all the planning for that, and you're responsible for navigating the ship, that is taking it in and out of harbor and going from place A to place B. So generally, as the navigation and direction specialist, the operations of the ship revolves around the navigating officer of the ship, and he assists in his commanding officer to run the operations and to at sea from the operation rooms of the ship, and also for safe navigation of the ship from at sea.
Sir, so were you one of the
So it is one
youngest?
of the busy jobs on board the ship when you are sailing.
Yes, sir. And sir, what if ever, I mean, has it ever happened? It may not be in your case, but you would have heard of experience where you lose your direction. It happens with us on road if we are driving a car. Similarly, a ship could lose its direction while navigating. In that scenario, what is to be done, sir?
Or you don't lose directions at sea. There are no road networks at sea and all that. So when we started navigating ships, there was no GPS. So you were dependent on celestial bodies, the sun and the stars, when you were out of range from the land. And if you are within range from the land, you had your radar and lighthouses and other navigation marks on the shore, which you could fix the position of your ship. So there, I have not come across a situation where you're totally lost out at sea and you don't know where you are. You maintain something called a dead reckoning, or the DR of the ship. So you roughly know where you are. At times, some navigators have made mistakes and you're off your position, especially when you're out at sea during monsoon months when the sky is overcast. You don't see the sun and the stars for a number of days. Then you're dependent on how accurate a dead reckoning you have maintained. But now, in the day of GPS and other navigation aids available, you don't get lost at sea at all.
Right, sir. Sir, were you one of the youngest in your course when you had joined the academy? Because uh, in academy, when there are some people who are doing really well, and right from academy, my experience was we start doing a calculation. Oh, so and so youngest, so and so has a potential of becoming a general. We went to the officers training academy, so we didn't have naval cadets with us there. So, but we started making a kind of a calculation right from those times. So, were you one of the youngest in your course?
I don't know that, but in my naval batch, I think I was among the younger lots. But I don't think so. We ever sat down to calculate who will become an admiral or who will not become an admiral. Especially in my naval course, the 13th integrated, we were 72 in all, and we always supported each other and took part in everybody's success. And if somebody had a misfortune or something, we were there to hold hands. And I think that has been the beauty of the 13th integrated course. We were never jealous of each other's successes. And I think that is one reason why my course, the 13 integrated course, bonds very well even till date.
That's very true, sir. Very, very true. So let's talk about when you were commissioned, and your father also was in the Navy. So was he serving there, or he had retired when you were commissioned, sir?
He he retired just a couple of months before I got commissioned.
Oh, okay, sir, sir. But how was the feeling? I mean, he must have pipped you, and you must have, when the first salute you gave him, sir.
He was there for my passing out parade in National Defense Academy, and we that time it's a long time. We had we don't really have a commissioning ceremony that time where you got pipped or not. You just wore your stripes. So there was no passing out parade when we finished off our under training bit on board different ships and put on our sub-lieutenant stripe. Now things have changed and there is a passing out parade held on the training ship where the parents also attend. So I only recollect them attending my passing out parade at the National Defense Academy.
Sir, sir. And how
And
I think
it was a proud moment for both my parents and my younger brother, who was also there for my passing out parade.
so is he from the forces as well? Your younger brother?
He followed my footsteps and joined the Navy
Oh, that is,
and NDA and NDA.
sir. That is so nice, sir. So I would like to know about, you had the experience of commanding the ship. In fact, different ships you have served on different ships. Any particular memory you would like to share of any of the command on any of the ships, sir?
I've been fortunate enough to command 4 ships. The first ship I commanded was a minesweeper in 1988 as a young lieutenant commander in Visakhapatnam. Was INS Kakinada minesweeper. Then I went on to command a frigate INS Himgiri and then 2 destroyers as in the rank of captain, INS Ranvijay and INS Mumbai. And there are a number of incidences where in all the 4 commands, I recollect one incident where on INS Mumbai in 2005, we had gone all the way to UK to take part in the Silver Jubilee celebration of the International Fleet Review in England, in UK and Portsmouth. And on our way back in the thick of monsoons, we were to enter Mumbai on the 26th of July, and we were off Mumbai, and close to Mumbai there was a major accident in Bombay High where there was an explosion in one of the oil rigs. And I recollect being directed to sail with full dispatch in rough seas to enter the Bombay High to render assistance. And I was among the first naval units to enter there along and took part in the rescue efforts along with other ONGC platforms. So like this, there are a number of incidences in all the commands. So I think I can narrate a number of them, but then let's take the conversation forward on other matters.
Right, sir. So, having commanded 4 ships and having had a very illustrious command, in fact, the officers and the men and the sailors with you, they swear by you by your name even till now, as you as the commanding officer. Later on, of course, as a chief, that's a different thing. So, which command would you say you enjoyed more, as the chief of the naval staff or as commanding officer of the ship, sir?
No, as a young naval officer, your first aspiration or ambition or desire is to get a command of a ship. And in my case, that was it. My first aspiration or desire was to get a command of my own ship, and I was fortunate enough to have got command of INS Kakinada as a minesweeper, being my first command. Okay. Commanding a ship is entirely different than being in command of the Navy. They're two very different things. On board the ship, the commanding officer may not be the oldest on board, but he's called the old man. And on board the ship, the buck comes and stops at the commanding officer. You have staff on board, other specialists and heads of department and all that. But in my opinion, what I followed was when bad news came or bad accolades, it was my responsibility, and something good happened on board or we did well, then it was the effort of the crew. And I followed that throughout my whole life, even when I was the Chief of Naval Staff. So there are two very different experiences, commanding ships and commanding the Navy. When you're commanding the Navy as Chief of Naval Staff, your overall gambit or responsibilities are much larger. When you're commanding a ship, your focus is your ship.
Yes, sir. So very well said by you, sir. Sir, how has it been after retirement from the Navy as the chief, sir? How is it? You've traveled extensively. In fact, you just got back a few days back from abroad. In fact, so how has life been post retirement for you, sir?
Life couldn't have been better. It's another phase of life, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my time in retirement. A lot of my friends and my colleagues in the Navy who are still in service ask me, how's retirement? And I say, my time is my time now. And whenever I look back, I think that I've been very fortunate and lucky, and destiny took me to command the Navy. And I'm very thankful for that. And I've been fortunate enough to travel the world. And this is another phase of life. We've settled down in Panchkula. We have good friends out here. So quality of life overall is good. I have nothing to complain about.
Sir, sir. Sir, it's been such a delight speaking to you, sir, and being in conversation with you. And thank you very much for taking your time, sir. And before we part ways, any message you would like to give across to the youth of our country, especially who would be looking up to Admiral Sunil Lanba to join the forces?
I like to say that no, India has a very rich maritime heritage, which goes back over 5,000 years to the time of Mohenjo-daro, the Indus Valley civilization. The oldest dock in the world was part of the Indus Valley civilization in Lothal. We have a very rich, like I said, a very rich maritime heritage. We had major maritime empires in the form of the Cholas, whose ships sailed all the way to Southeast Asia. We Indians tend to forget this. And as our country is progressing and growing, our dependence on the ocean are only going to increase as time goes by. And we are fundamentally dependent on the ocean for the well-being of India. And my message to all the youth is to keep this in mind, look at our maritime heritage and the present day maritime requirements. We tend to be land lovers, have a continental outlook, and only look at our land borders in the north and the west. But in my opinion, the future of India depends on our linkages to the Indian Ocean and the Indo-Pacific at large. And to the youth, if you're looking for a wonderful way of life and not just a career, join the Navy.
That is so very well said, sir. Sir, and one last thing. Which was there were a whole lot of questions, but I know you're busy, sir. I will ask you. When you had gone to Vellum Boys recently, sir, you had presided over their military history conclave, in fact, their seminar. How was it for a boarding school product to be with it and the boarding school presiding over their military history conclave, sir?
Unfortunately, this happened during the time of the COVID, and this was an online affair like what we are doing today. So I didn't physically go to Vellum's Boys in Dehradun. So, but it was a good experience delivering the address there to all the young boys and girls there. And I would look forward to any opportunity to having to go to any school and talk to young people. I think they are the future of our nation.
Sir, that's very nice. Sir, I'm from a boarding school, sir, Lawrence School, Lovedale. So we had Admiral Arun Prakash going there as a chief guest.
I've been to your school for your Founders Day. I was invited when I was the chief.
Of course, sir, well aware of that. Well aware of that, sir. I thought I'll tell you all this. In fact, there's a lot more would like to share with you, sir. In fact, there's so much to share with you. And, sir, but it's such an honor, sir. It's such an honor. I'll give you a call after this. Such an honor, sir, to be in conversation with you. And thank you very much, sir, for taking your time, sir. Jai Hind,
Okay,
sir.
thank you, Shah, and wish you all the very best.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.